Hi Gemini, time for the first Gemini Tarot reading that I'm going to do for 2020. So it's a whole new year, it's a whole new ball game. I could almost say, it's a whole new world, but strictly speaking it isn't. It's the same old world, but it's moved on, and that is the great thing about the world. It never stops changing and life never stops changing. So Tarot in Wonderland, here we go. Let's see what the cards have in store for Gemini for 2020. It's January 2020, but as we're leaping into a new year now, I'm going to say it's a 2020 reading for the sign of Gemini. So what's the first card we've got? First card we've got, excuse me, is the Two of Pentacles. Now then, in the traditional version of this card, the guy has actually got a firm grip of the Two Pentacles, and there's the Eight of Eternity going around them. But in this case, it's the Mad Hatter, and he actually appears as the King of Pentacles as well, so we can be sure that he's on top of his game here. But he seems to have lost control. He actually hasn't. I'm sure he feels as if he's lost control at this point. Do you feel as if you've lost control, Gemini? Because it is a twin sign, and we have actually got two different pentacle discs in this card, so maybe it feels like things have gone all over the place. Well, they probably have, because that's the way things go when we get change coming in. But we can adapt to change. We can always run with it. Just as the world naturally brings change, we naturally adapt to change. It's the human condition. It's the way we are. And he's doing a fine act juggling here. And if we really look at this card, he hasn't lost control. He'll be able to catch these things all right. They're falling into his hands almost. So it's the pentacles, it's all the elements, earth, wind, fire and water, working together under the guidance and the control of what is divine. And that's what we need to remember. When things go all over the place, or when things change in a new, interesting and rather scary way, as they can when we come into a new year, then we should remember that we are all spirit beings as well as the human beings that we are. It's all part of the same thing. We're given these human lives as part of the eternal journey, and the divine is in control. The angels are there. Ask the angels if things are getting worried. Ask them if things are getting difficult. They're sure to help. Archangel Michael is never far away. You just call on him, he will help you for sure. Now, we've got the clouds slanted in the background, so nothing is really what it seems. That's what is being said there. We can feel quite comfortable in life in some ways, and I rather hope you do feel comfortable, because we actually deserve to be able to feel comfortable in these lives of ours, But when we feel uncomfortable, it's not a great thing, and that is a natural part of being who we are as well. Okay, so that's the Two of Pentacles, first card in this reading for Gemini for 2020. So here we go. 2020 vision, that's what it's all about. Have you got 2020 vision? I haven't, that's why I'm wearing glasses. But you see, there's always something we can do about it. And the Hatter is juggling madly there, and he's going to win because he comes out as the King of Pentacles in the end. It's the same character, so it all works out. So let's have a look. What is the next card going to be for the sign of Gemini? Page of Swords. Here we go. We actually got this one for Taurus as well. It was right at the end of the Taurus reading. It's just at the beginning here for Gemini. Well, it's the second one in, but it's still very early in the reading. But this second card has a lot to do with kind of what are we going to do next? What's going to happen next? Where are we going? And it's still a question, really, because it's a sword card, and there is so much to think about with the sword card. Now, the page, this could be somebody coming into your life, and if it's a love reading, then this is where your relationship is going, Gemini. But whatever this reading means to you, and it's always different strokes for different folks with these readings, whatever it means to you, it's a decision that needs to be made. And either someone's going to come in and help you make that decision, help you make that choice, or you're going to have to make it yourself. But do not despair, because right here, the page is holding a scroll, and that's the other side of it. As much as we've got that sword there and we've got to make that decision, got to make that move, whatever it is, we have actually got some information at hand to help us, or at least the page is bringing it in. Now then, we can look to the internet quite readily to get information. Obviously, we all know that. And I know people are finding the internet quite scary at the moment. You've only got to kind of say something to someone, and the next thing you're getting an advert for it, because artificial intelligence is going nuts like that. Oh, believe me, tell me about it. I'm a YouTuber. artificial intelligence can be the bane of your life, but it's also a very magical thing. I know it's drawing the best out of me. It's really getting me on my toes. And so that quest for information, as arduous as it might seem, remember, we've got the whole year ahead of us. We don't have to get through 2020 in a couple of weeks. We've got all 52 weeks, probably about 363 days left at the moment as I'm recording this. So there is actually plenty of time to gather that information. So we don't have to really rush off and make things happen immediately. There are strong possibilities and there's everything that we can do about it. We've got the Page of Swords influence as much as anything, whether that's the page is actually a person in real life or whether it is just the influence around us. We've got the information and we've got to make that decision. And this card reminds us that we're not called to make any decisions until we're actually ready. We might not feel ready, but the universe doesn't throw this stuff at us until we are ready. So think about it. Where's the information? What does life experience tell you about the situation you're in now, Gemini? That is so much worth thinking about. In some ways, it's the only thing to think about at this stage of the game. That's card number 2, the Page of Swords. So let's keep moving and see what comes next. Okay, tell me more, please, in this reading for the sign of Gemini, which I'm doing in January 2020. These stay evergreen on my channel, by the way, so do hit the subscribe button and tap the bell to receive all notifications. Then go and check out my channel. There are hundreds of readings on there, guys, hundreds of readings. And if you're drawn to one, never mind if it's not your star sign. That star sign will be doing something somewhere in your birth chart. So if you're drawn to a reading, check it out, okay? There's hundreds of them there, and they're always worth looking at. I do them with the intention I do them with, but they're out there for you guys. Different strokes for different folks. Always the way, always the time. So third card, and this is the heart of the matter, really. 6 of Cups. And now we see where the confusion might be. But it's the middle card, so it's a turning point. It really is the way forward once we've thought about this. And so 6 of Cups. Now, when we get this card, we've got to think, are we actually sort of over-romanticising something? Very poignant and salient fact if we're thinking about relationships at this moment. But, it really relates to all of life, this, because we grow up as children, and a lot of what makes us the way we are comes from experiences we have as small children, which get filed away deep in our minds, images, if you will, that we don't have conscious access to. But, it's all there in the Akashic records. We can look back to past lives as well. We could be being driven by those to some extent. So we've got to cut through that and be practical and move on, really. There is actually practicality going on here. Someone's getting a very nice cake or a trifle or something, and they've actually got another 5 trifles to get through once they've had that one. So there's a bounty there, all right. But, they're very grounded looking trifles. They look as if they're in like earthenware plant pots or something. So it is actually that there is always that grounded side to anything, no matter how kind of beautiful and enjoyable it is. But let's face it, guys, this is a pretty picture. And although we're still, probably reeling from that decision that we're having to make, maybe we haven't made it yet. I don't know. Different strokes for different folks. But that decision has just come in card number 2, the Page of Swords. And in this card, it's all about forward motion again. But it really is about stop and think, Stopping and thinking doesn't actually stop the forward motion. It just makes it a hell of a lot more productive when we do actually move forward. Now, it's quite a dark kind of scene here. There's a lot of beautiful colours in it, and there's an elephant in the background there, which, let me just take a closer look. It appears to be a flying purple elephant with pink tusks. But there we go, the pink tusks, maybe that's the higher heart, because that can get us into trouble sometimes. It really can, can't it? Particularly if we're looking at this as a relationship reading. So consider that an important thing to consider, for want of a better word. But there is the purple of healing with that elephant, and it is important to actually let your mind fly, go a little bit wild, and contemplate what could you really do with the future. The future is a massive thing, you don't have to hold back in any way. But do stop and think, guys, when we get the 6 of Cups, are we being driven by something that's maybe an overly romantic vision of what might be possible or what's happened in the past? Sometimes people wish they could get back into a relationship which they were really glad to get out of at some point. If you were back in that relationship, if that person came back in, would you really be happy with them? Sure, but for how long? That's what you've got to think about. Sometimes it's a blessing to just have to wait. So contemplate that, my friends. What is actually driving you? What are you actually thinking about? There are beautiful flowers in the garden there, but what do they actually mean? You know, where are they actually going to take you? Well, hopefully we'll find out in step number 4. As we move on with this reading for the sign of Gemini in January 2020. And here's the 4th card. It is the Knight of Cups. There we go. Now then, the Knight of Cups, so we're into longings, desires, that kind of thing. And it's another cup card, so it really does move on very strongly from the 6 of Cups that we had a second ago. Now, the Knight of Cups is a very discerning character. He really knows... Well, I wouldn't like to say he knows exactly what he wants, but he certainly knows how he wants to feel. And I think we've all got that in us somewhere, have we not? But he's on a horse there, so good things can happen. He can't charge off too fast, though, because he's trying to balance the fine wine or whatever it is that that cup is full of. Is it full of something physical? Is it full of something practical? Is it just full of thoughts? And are they all that impractical? We all have thoughts. Thoughts are what drive us. Feelings are what drive us as well. So they have real practical sense. It's esoteric, you know. It's having something in your mind that needs to come out and actually become real in the world somehow. So whatever we're hoping for, whatever we're longing for, it's important not to cut that off. It really is. But if we've got a good plan at this point, we can move forward into success quite quickly and fairly easily, because he is a knight, you know, he has got all that energy. He's an older chap, but hey, so am I. Look at my white beard here. You know, knowledge comes as you get older, it really does. It's no bad thing. And as dark a card as it is, we can see some nice golden light in the background there, and he's not far from that. He could choose to ride out into the light, he really could. Could you choose to ride out into the light, Gemini? I hope you could, and I hope you will. I hope you'll get the chance to do that. But let us see what is the outcome card in this 5-card spread for the sign of Gemini in January 2020, which I intend to be for the whole of January 2020. It's all about fresh starts, really. It's got to be, because it's a fresh year, and that is kind of how these things work. In fact, it's exactly how these things work. So the next card out, and this is the end card of this reading, but it's the beginning of the rest of your life, because it's the World. Now this card says that you've really had to stand up tall and take it all, Gemini, and that must have been a thing for a lot of us during the Christmas time. But for you particularly, Gemini, this card has come out as an outcome, and as we know, when we get to an outcome, we start on the next leg of the journey. It's never over. It's never completely finished. So do think about that. It's number 21, you know, so we've had the 10 of completion, another 10 of completion, and then a 1, and we're moving forward again. Because life is like that, you know, life is change. We always keep changing. It's human nature. It's what keeps us ticking. It'd be a strange life, and frankly not a very rewarding life, if things never changed. So it looks like the whole thing of this reading seems to be about kind of keeping things in balance and changing at the same time. That is really good advice probably for any human being, but it's strong here for you, Gemini. You really have done what you had to do. No two ways about it. And if you feel that you've failed in the past because you haven't, you know, actually come out at the place that you were hoping to come out at, fear not, you know, there is another leg of the journey coming. There is a lot of positivity in this card. I see it a bit like the Wheel of Fortune, because once we get here, it's a question of what do we jump out of the circle? How do we jump out of the picture frame here and go forward? What are we going to do next? We've got the symbols of the 4 suits of playing cards here, showing that there's a game going on, and that game has got to keep on being played. Well, there we are. Let me just pop those out of the way. We'll do a quick recap then. So we started off with something to balance here with the 2 of Pentacles. But a great feeling of completion with this card anyway, because it is earth, wind, fire and water working together under the guidance of the divine, under the guidance of spirit, and under the guidance of our own mind, our own soul, our own higher self. So tune into that higher self and you'll be able to juggle these and catch them and make the best of it. Don't worry about the slanty clouds, because the Page of Swords is here, and that means that the information is here to help you to make this big decision about where you're going next, what are you going to do next. Just make sure you're not being driven by kind of it doesn't have to be an over romantic vision. That just tends to be the meaning of the Six of Cups when it comes in, because it is about longings and desires. Be careful what you wish for. I guess that's what we're saying, but don't stop wishing. That would be a terrible thing. Never stop wishing, my friends, because that is really what life's all about. King of Cups is wishing, looking wistfully into his cup there, but the possibilities around us, not the King of Cups, sorry, the Knight of Cups, the possibilities around us, because he is a knight. He's not tied down to rules and authority the way a king is, They're totally in charge, but they have to obey all the rules themselves. The Knight of Cups has that bit of leeway to go forward and make stuff happen. There's pure gold behind him. And here we come again, the outcome card. The actual world, the actual world, number 21. So we've had 2 stages of completion. Maybe we've had more stages of completion in our life, but this shows that we've stood up tall, we've done it all again and again, and now we've got to set off and do it yet again. It's all to play for because of the playing card symbols there. So whatever you do, Gemini, don't just kind of rest on your laurels, keep on moving. And so thanks very much. Thumbs up, please, if you've enjoyed it. I really appreciate you guys watching. If you can subscribe, that really helps me, trying to get to 1,000 subscribers as quick as I can so I can start working live, and then we'll see some fixing if I do that. We really will. Leave me a comment. It's great to share the journey with you guys. I'd love to know where you are in the world, how you feel about this reading as well, because it really, the more I get in touch with the people who watch these videos, the more personal I can make the readings. So keep it real, keep it Twig, brother, and I'll be back with more very soon. Happy 2020, Gemini, and peace to you.